Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranams. Thank you very much for joining in for our Krishna book study session. We'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuke Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Twadavayam Pashe Yatra Mrityu Parasparam Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanyamanoභીષ્ટಂ Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees and pranams. Thank you for joining in for our Krishna book study session. Yesterday we saw about the lessons learned from the pastimes of King Nriga, right? So how he had to become a lizard, although he was doing so much of charity, so much of pious activities. Yet, if you do pious activity wrongly, we will get a very, very negative result of that, right? So that's why one should, the important lesson was that one should not do pious activities, one should not do non-pious activities or sinful activities. Rather, one should work for the pleasure of Krishna. And in this way, we perform akarma. That means we don't have to take another material body to either to come to this material world to enjoy our pious credits or to suffer for our sinful reactions like that. Okay, so let's move forward. Chapter number 63. Isn't it? Oh, sorry. Chapter number 65. All right. So here we are seeing how Lord Balaram goes to Vrindavan Dham. Right? What does Balaram do in Vrindavan Dham? And what proceeds? What is the reaction of the inhabitants of Vrindavan? Right? Upon seeing Balaram. Right? They've been in Balaram and Krishna have been in Dwaraka for a long time now, isn't it? So now Balaram is returning to Vrindavan. So let's see how Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maiya, and all the friends of Balaram, how they receive him in Vrindavan Dham. That's what you want to see today. So let me quickly share my screen and then devotees can read. Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan, chapter 65 of the Krishna book. Okay, Sridhar Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam Prabhu. Yes.
Chapter 65, Lord Balarama visit Vrindavana. Lord Balarama became very anxious to see his father and mother in Vrindavana. Therefore, with great enthusiasm, he started on the chariot for Vrindavana. The inhabitants of Vrindavana had been anxious to see Krishna and Balarama for a very long time. When Krishna and Balrama returned to Vrindavanam, all the cowherd boys and the gopis have grown up, but still on his arrival, they were embraced him, and Balrama embraced them in reciprocation. After this, he came before Maharaja Nanda and Yashoda and offered his respectful obeisance. In response, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaja offered their blessings unto him. They addressed him as Jagadishwara, or the Lord of Universe, who maintained everyone. The reason for this was that Krishna and Balrama maintained all living entities, and yet Nanda and Yashoda were put into such difficulties on account of their absence. Feeling like this, they embraced Balram, and seating him on their laps began their perpetual crying, wetting Balrama on their tears. Lord Balrama then offered his respectful obeisance to the elderly coward man, and accepted the obeisance of the younger coward man. Thus, according to their different ages and relationship, Lord Balrama exchanged feelings of friendship with them. He shook hands with those who were his equal in age and friendship, and with loud laughing embraced each one of them. He, after being received by the coward men and boys, the gopis, and the king Nanda Yashoda, Lord Balrama sat down feeling satisfied, and they all surrounded him. First, Lord Balrama inquired about them and their welfare, and then, since they had not seen him for such a long time, they began to ask him different questions. The inhabitants Vrindavana and sacrificed everything for Krishna, simply being captivated by the lotus eyes of Lord. Because of their great desire to love Krishna, they never desired anyone like elevation to the heavenly planet or merging unto the effulgence of Balrama to become one with the absolute truth. They were not even interested in enjoying the life of opulence, but were satisfied in living a simple life in a village as covered. They were always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and did not desire any personal benefit, and they were all so much in love with him that his absence there was flattered when they began to inquire about Balramji. First, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai inquired, "My dear Balrama, are our friends Vasudeva, uh, Vasudeva and others in the family doing well? Now you and Krishna are grown-up married men with children. In the happiness of life, do you do you something remember your poor father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi? It is a very good news that most sinful king Kamsa had been killed by you, and that our friends like Vasudeva and others who had been harassed have now been relieved. It is also very good news that you and Krishna defeated Jarasandha and Kalyanavana, who is now dead, and that you are now living in a fulfilled residence in Dwaraka. When the gopis arrived, Lord Balrama glanced
Thank you, Prabhu.
over them and loving eyes. Hare Krishna. Tanut Pranamadaji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare, couldn't hear.
Okay. Yeah. Am I audible? Hare Krishna. Okay. So, okay. So what I was wanting to discuss here, right? Yashoda Maya and Nanda Maharaj, although they are the mother and father of Lord Shri Krishna, they were not demanding from Krishna. Oh, you are my son. You are my son Balaram. What is it that you're doing, right? Where are you? Where have you come? Where were you for the last so many years? And where is Krishna, right? So as mother, do we not have the right to spend some time with you, to be with you, right? Like that. So those sense gratificatory tendencies are not there, we see here in Yashoda Maya and Nanda Maharaj, right? Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya simply wanted to give pleasure to Krishna and Balaram, right? Whatever was good for them, they allowed that to happen, right? So the entire childhood pastimes of Krishna and Balaram were in Nanda Baba's courtyard, right? Were in Nanda Baba's home, right? Yet, when the time was right, Krishna and Balaram went out of Vrindavan. They went to Mathura, then they went to Dwaraka. They never came back at all, right? So, but yet when Balaram came back, Nanda and Yashoda are not angry with him. Right? Nanda and Yashoda are embracing him, and then he's offering obeisances to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya, and then he's embracing all of his cowherd friends, and then he's offering obeisances to the elderly gopis and the gopas. Right? Everybody was so much in love with Lord Balaram, right? That they forgot everything of the past. They simply were inquiring about with Balaram, right? Does Krishna and you, right? Do you even think of us? Because you must be great kings. You're living in such big palaces in Dwaraka. Are you all even remembering me? Like that they are asking, right? So in their mood is that of separation from Krishna and Balaram. They were not angry, but rather they were inquiring from Balaram that if at all Krishna and Balaram even remembered them sometimes. So we see this unconditional love of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya here. Yeah. All right, Karpagavali Mataji, go ahead. When the gopis arrived,
Mataji.
Hare
And the
Krishna.
gopis arrived, Lord Balarama glanced over them. When the gopis arrived, Lord Balarama glanced over them with loving eyes. Being overjoyed, the gopis who had so long been mortified on account of Krishna's and Balarama's absence began to ask about the welfare of the two brothers. They specifically asked Balarama whether Krishna was enjoying his life surrounded by the enlightened women of Dwarakapuri. Does he sometimes remember his father Nanda and his mother Yasoda and other friends with whom he so intimately behaved while in Vrindavana? Does Krishna have many plans to come here to see his mother Yasoda, or does he remember us gopis who are now pitiably bereft of his company? Krishna may have forgotten us in the midst of the cultured women of Dwaraka, but as far as we are concerned, we still remember him by collecting flowers and sewing them into garlands. When and he does not come. However, we simply pass our time by crying. If only he would come here and accept these garlands we have made, dear Lord Balrama, descendant of the Dasarha. You know that we would give him.
Dasharha.
Huh?
Dasharha.
Dashaha, you know that we would give up everything for Krishna's friendship. Even in great distress, one cannot give up the connection of family members. But although it might be impossible for others, we gave up our fathers, mothers, sisters, and relatives. But then Krishna, without caring our pinch for our renunciation, all of a sudden renounced us and went away. He broke off our intimate relationship without serious consideration and left for a foreign country. But he was so clever and cunning that he manufactured very nice words. He said, "My dear gopis, please do not worry. The service you have rendered me is impossible for me to repay. After all, we are women, so how could we disbelieve him? Now we can understand that his sweet words are simply for cheating us." Protesting Krishna's absence from Vrindavana, another gopi said, "My dear Balramji, we are of course village girls, so Krishna could cheat us in that way. But what about the women of Taruka? Don't they think that they are foolish as we are? We village women might be misled by Krishna, but the women in the city of Dwaraka are very clever and intelligent. Therefore, I would be surprised if such city women would be misled by Krishna and could believe his words." And then another gopi began to speak. "My dear friend," she said, "Krishna is very clever in using words. No one can compete with him in that art. He can manufacture such colorful words and talk so sweetly that the heart of any woman could be misled. Besides that, he has perfected the art of smiling very attractively, and by seeing his smile, women became mad after him and give themselves to him without hesitation." Another gopi, after hearing this, said, "My dear friends, what is the use of talking about Krishna? If you are at all interested in passing time by talking, let us talk about some subject other than him. If cruel Krishna can pass his time without us, why can't we pass our time without Krishna? Of course, Krishna is passing his days without us very happily, but we cannot pass our days happily without him." When the
Hare
gopis
Krishna.
were
Thank you,
talking,
Mataji.
thank you, Mataji.
So the gopis, they are so wonderful. They don't want to talk about Krishna. They don't want to remember Krishna. But Krishna is the only subject matter they always talk about. Right? So we are finding it so difficult to remember Krishna. We are chanting 2 hours in the morning. Some or the other, we want to remember Krishna. But somehow we are attracted to all the nonsensical things of this material world. isn't it? But look at the gopis. They are angry with Krishna. Krishna has gone away from Vrindavan. It has been so many years. Krishna has gone to Mathura, then Krishna has gone to Dwaraka, right? Like that. And Balaram has just come from nowhere suddenly after many years. And Krishna has not come also. And what are they saying? Like Krishna cheated all of us, by sweet words. And then he went off to Mathura and Dwaraka and is not coming back, right? But we got cheated because we are ordinary village girls. But how did he manage to cheat the city girls also? How they also getting attracted to Krishna? So like that, when they are constantly talking about Krishna, although they are trying to talk ill of Krishna. What is that? Love is overpouring from their hearts, because that is the nature of love. You cannot not love somebody whom you've really loved, and served for so long. And Krishna is Sarvam Akarshanati iti Krishna. That is the nature of Krishna's form, the nature of Krishna's name, form, pastimes. Everything about Krishna is so attractive, right? That the pure devotees of the Lord who once developed love for Krishna, they cannot leave Krishna. They cannot forget Krishna. They cannot stop talking about Krishna. That is the nature of the pure devotees, right? That is the reason the gopis, although they don't want to talk about Krishna, they are saying, if Krishna can pass his days without us happily, we can also pass our days happily without him. But then we are not able to do it. Why? Because Krishna himself says the reason for it, right? Krishna himself says, the gopis, you be happy with your love for me. I am not able to reciprocate with you for your love, right? You need to only be satisfied with your love for me, right? Why? Because Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Although Krishna is saying that I am not reciprocating, when we render service unto Lord Krishna's lotus feet, we automatically attain that bliss, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are amshas of Krishna. We are created by Krishna. We are created from Krishna, right? So if we simply satisfy Krishna and always remember Krishna, although we may think that Krishna is not reciprocating with us, yet Krishna is already captured our hearts. And when Krishna captures our heart, then it means that he is already reciprocated completely. We cannot always remember Krishna without Krishna's mercy. So if the gopis are saying we are not able to forget Krishna, that means the gopis are the recipients of the unlimited maximum mercy of Krishna. That's what we need to understand from this chapter, from this paragraph, right? So the gopis are saying Krishna can be happy without us, but so we should also be happy without Krishna, but we are unable to be happy, or we are unable to even stop ourselves from talking about Krishna. Why? Because Krishna has captured their hearts, and that is the greatest mercy of Lord Sri Krishna himself, like that. Okay, let's move ahead. Shobha Mataji, go ahead. And the gopis are talking in this way.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam Mataji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the gopis were talking in this way, their feeling for Krishna became more and more intense, and they were experiencing Krishna's smiling, Krishna's words of love, Krishna's attractive features, Krishna's characteristics, and Krishna's embraces. By the force of their ecstatic feelings, it appeared to them that Krishna was personally present and dancing before them. Because of their sweet remembrance of Krishna, they could not check their tears, and they began to cry without consideration. Lord Balrama, of course, could understand the ecstatic feelings of the gopis, and therefore he wanted to pacify them. He was expert in presenting an appeal and thus treating the gopis very respectfully. He began to narrate the story of Krishna so tactfully that the gopis became satisfied. To keep the gopis in Vrindavana satisfied, Lord Balrama stayed there continuously for 2 months, namely the months of Chaitra, March to April, and Vaishaka, April to May. For those 2 months, he kept himself among the gopis, and he passed every night with them in the forest of Vrindavana to satisfy their desires for conjugal love. Thus, Balrama also enjoyed the rasa dance with the gopis during those 2 months. Since the season was springtime, the breeze on the Yamuna, bank of the Yamuna, was blowing very mildly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, especially the flower known as Kaumudi. Moonlight filled the sky and spread everywhere, and thus the bank of Yamuna appeared very bright and pleasing. The Lord Balrama enjoyed the company of the gopis there. The demigod known as Varuna sent his daughter Varuni in the form of liquid honey oozing from the hollows of the trees. Because of this honey, the whole forest became aromatic, and the sweet aroma of the liquid honey Varuni captivated Balramji. Balramji and all the gopis became very much attracted by the taste of the Varuni, and all of them drank it together. While drinking this natural beverage, all the gopis chanted the glories of Lord Balrama. The Lord Balrama felt very happy as if he had become intoxicated by drinking that Varani beverage. His eyes rolled in a pleasing attitude. He was decorated with long garlands of forest flowers, and the whole situation appeared to be great function of happiness because of this transcendental bliss. Lord Balrama smiled beautifully, and the drops of perspiration decorating his face appeared like soothing morning dew. While Balrama was in the happy mood, he desired to enjoy the company of the gopis in the winter of the Yamuna. Therefore, he called the Yamuna to come nearby, but Yamuna neglected the order of Balramji, considering him intoxicated. Lord Balrama became very much displeased at the Yamuna's neglecting his order. He immediately wanted to scratch the land near the river with his plowshare. Lord Balrama has two weapons, a plow and a club, from which he takes service when they are required. This time he wanted to bring the Yamuna by force, and he took the help of his plow. He wanted to punish the Yamuna because she did not come in obedience to his order. He addressed the Yamuna, "You rich river, you did not care for my order. Now I shall teach you a lesson. You did not come to me voluntarily. Now, with the help of a plow, I shall force you to come. I shall divide you into hundreds of scattered streams." When the Yamuna was threatened like this, she began greatly afraid of the power of Balrama. They immediately came in person, falling at his lotus feet and praying thus: "My dear Balrama, you are the most powerful personality and you are pleasing to everyone. Unfortunately, I forgot your glorious, exalted position, but now I have come to my senses, and I remember that you hold all the planetary systems on your head merely by your partial expansion, Sesha. You are the sustainer of the whole universe, my dear Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are full with six opulences because I forgot your omnipotence. I have mistakenly disobeyed your order, and thus I have become a great offender. But, my dear Lord, please know that I am a soul surrendered unto you. You are very affectionate to your devotees. Therefore, please excuse my impudence and mistakes, and by your causeless mercy, you may now release me. By upon displaying this submissive attitude, the Yamuna was forgiven, and she came nearby. Lord Balrama enjoyed the pleasure of swimming in her waters along with the gopis in the same way that an elephant enjoys himself along with many she elephants. After a long time, when Lord Balrama had enjoyed to his full satisfaction, he came out of the water, and immediately a goddess of fortune offered him a nice blue garment and a valuable necklace made of gold. After bathing in the Yamuna, Lord Balrama, dressed in blue garments and decorated with golden ornaments, looked very attractive to everyone. Lord Balrama's complexion is white, and when he was properly dressed, he looked exactly like white elephant of King Indra in the heavenly planets. The river Yamuna still has many small branches due to being scratched by the plowshare of Lord Balrama, and all these branches of river Yamuna still glorify the omnipotence of Lord Balrama. Lord Balrama and the gopis enjoyed transcendental pastimes together every night for 2 months, and time passed so quickly that all those nights appeared to be only one night. In the presence of Lord Balrama, all the gopis and other inhabitants of the Vrindavana became as cheerful as they had been before in the presence of both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Balrama. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of 65th chapter of Krishna, Lord Balrama visits Vrindavana. Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, Balaram visits Vrindavan. So, Balaram is non-different from Krishna, right? Balaram is said to be the supreme personality of servitor Godhead, and Krishna is said to be the supreme personality of served Godhead, right? Without the blessings of Lord Balaram, we will not be able to approach Lord Sri Krishna, right? And Prabhupada tells in one of the lectures, there is only one difference between Krishna and Balaram, right? Krishna is the dark form of Balaram, and Balaram is the white form of Krishna, right? Krishna is a dark, Shama Sundar color, that dark rain cloud color, and Balaram is nice whitish cloud color, right? Apart from that, there is no difference between Krishna and Balaram. Of course, in this, there's a beautiful pastime that Prabhupada has mentioned about how Yamuna Devi, right, was dragged by Lord Balaram through his plow, right? So whenever Balaram drags us, that's the greatest fortune, because Balaram is dragging us to be engaged in the service of Krishna Balaram, in the service of Radha Krishna. So to be dragged by our spiritual master, Balaram is the original spiritual master Nityananda Prabhu, and all of our spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Gaurakish Das Babaji Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, all the way up to all of our spiritual masters in the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava, Guru Parampara. They're all expansions of Lord Balaram. So in this way, if we please Lord Balaram, we'll be able to please Lord Sri Krishna, like that. Okay, let's move on to the next chapter. The next chapter is very, very interesting. The deliverance of Pondraka and the king of Kashi. Okay, Lil Nandini Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Mataji, yes.
Chapter 66, Deliverance of Pondraka and the King of Kashi. The story of King Pondraka is very interesting because it proves that there have always been many rascals and fools who have considered themselves God. Even in the presence of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, there were such foolish person. His name was Pondraka and he wanted to declare himself God. While Lord Balrama was absent in Vrindavana, this king Pondraka, the king of Korsha province, being foolish and puffed up, sent a messenger to Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is accepted as the supreme personality of Godhead, but King Pondraka directly challenged Krishna through the messenger, who stated that Pondraka, not Krishna, was Vasudeva. In the present day, there are many foolish followers of such rascals. Similarly, in Pondraka's day, many foolish men accepted Pondraka as a supreme personality of Godhead because he could not estimate his own position. Pondraka falsely thought himself to be Lord Vasudeva. Thus the messenger declared to king that King Pondraka, the supreme personality of Godhead, had descended to the earth out of his causeless mercy just to deliver all distressed persons. Surrounded by many other foolish persons, this rascal Pondraka had actually concluded that he was Vasudeva, the supreme personality of Godhead. This kind of conclusion is certainly childish. When children are playing, they sometimes select a king among us themselves, and the selected child may think that he is actually the king. Similarly, many foolish persons, due to ignorance, select another fool as God, and then the rascal actually considers himself God, and is as if God could be created by childish play or by the votes of men. Under this false impression, thinking himself the supreme Lord, Pondraka sent his messenger to Dwaraka to challenge the position of Krishna. The messenger reached the royal assembly of Krishna in Dwaraka and conveyed the message given by his master Pondraka. The message contained the following statements: I am the only supreme personality of Godhead Vasudeva. No man can compete with me. I have descended as King Pondraka, taking compassion on the distressed conditioned souls out of my unlimited costless mercy. You have falsely taken the position of Vasudeva without authority, but you should not propagate this false idea. You must give up your position. O descendant of the Yadu dynasty, please give up all the symbols of Vasudeva which you have falsely assumed. And after giving up this position, come and surrender unto me. If out of your gross impudence you do not care for my words, then I challenge you to fight. I am inviting you to a battle in which the decision will be settled. When all the members of the royal assembly, including King Ugrasena, heard this message sent by Pondraka, they laughed very loudly for a considerable time. For after enjoying the loud laughter of all the members of the assembly, Krishna replied to the messenger as follows: O messenger of Pondraka, you may carry my message to your master. You are a foolish rascal. I directly call you a rascal and I refuse to follow your instructions. I shall never give up the symbols of Vasudeva, especially my disc. I shall use this disc to kill not only you, but all your followers also. I shall destroy you and your foolish associates, who merely constitute a society of cheaters and the cheated. O foolish king, you will then have to conceal your face in disgrace, and then your head is severed from your body by my disc. It will be surrounded by meat-eating birds like vultures, hawks, and eagles. At that time, instead of becoming my shelter, as you have demanded, you will be subject to the mercy of these low-born birds. At that time, your body will be thrown to the dogs who will eat it with great pleasure. The messenger carried the words of Lord Sri Krishna to his master Pondraka, who patiently heard all these insults. Without waiting any longer, Lord Sri Krishna immediately
Started out on his chariot.
where
Yeah.
is that? Okay, Lord Sri Krishna started out on his chariot to punish this rascal Pondraka, the king of Kaurasa. Because at that time he was living with his friend, the king of Kashi. Krishna surrounded the whole city of Kashi. King Pondraka was a great warrior, and as soon as he heard of Krishna's attack, he came out of the city with two Akashuni, Akushini,
Akshohini.
huh?
Akshohini.
Akshuhini division of soldiers. The king of Kashi also came out with three Akshuhini divisions. When the two kings came before Lord Sri Krishna to oppose him, Krishna saw Pondraka face to face for the first time. Krishna saw that Pondraka had decorated himself with the symbols of the conch shell, disc, lotus, and club. He carried an imitation saranga bow, and on his chest was a mock insignia of Srivatsa. His neck was decorated with a false Kaustuba jewel, and he wore a flower garland in exact imitation of Lord Vasudeva's. He was dressed in yellow silken garments, and the flag on his chariot carried the symbol of Garuda, exactly imitating Krishna's. He had a very valuable helmet on his head, and his earrings, like swordfish, glittered brilliantly. On the whole, however, his dress and makeup were clearly imitation. Anyone could understand that he was just like someone's on stage playing the part of Vasudev in false dress. When Lord Sri Krishna saw Paundaka imitating his posture and dress, he could not check his laughter, and thus he laughed with great satisfaction. The soldiers on the side of King Paundaka began to shower their weapons upon Krishna. The weapons, including various kinds of tridents, clubs, poles, lances, swords, daggers, and arrows, came flying in waves, and Krishna contracted them. He smashed not only the weapons but also the soldiers and assistants of Paundaka. Just as during the dissolution of this universe, the fire of devastation burns everything to ashes. The elephants, chariots, horses, and infantry belonging to the opposite party were scattered by the weapons of Krishna. Indeed, the whole battlefield became strewn with smashed chariots and the bodies of animals and men. There were fallen horses, elephants, men, asses, and camels. Although the devastated battlefield appeared like the dancing place of Lord Shiva at the time of dissolution of the world, the warriors on the side of Krishna were very much encouraged by seeing this, and they fought with greater strength. At this time, Lord Sri Krishna told Paundaka, you requested me to give up the symbols of Lord Vishnu, especially my disc. Now I will give it up to you. Be careful. You falsely declare yourself Vasudeva, imitating me. Therefore, no one is greater fool than you. From this statement of Krishna's, it is clear that any rascal who advertises himself as God is the greatest fool in human society. Krishna continued, now, Paundraka, I shall force you to give up this false representation. You wanted me to surrender unto you? Now, this is your opportunity. We shall now fight, and if I am defeated and you are victorious, I shall certainly surrender unto you. In this way, after chastising Paundraka very severely, Krishna smashed Paundraka's chariot to pieces by shooting an arrow. Then, with the help of his disc, he separated Paundraka's head from his body, just as Indra shaves off the peaks of mountains by striking them with his thunderbolt. Similarly, Krishna also killed the king of Kashi with his arrows. Lord Krishna specifically arranged to throw the head of the king of Kashi into the city of Kashi itself so that his relatives and family members could see it. Krishna did this just as a hurricane carries a lotus petal here and there. Lord Krishna killed Paundraka and his friend Kashi Raja on the battlefield, and then he returned to his capital city, Dwaraka.
Hare
When
Krishna.
Lord
Thank
Sri
you,
Krishna
Mataji.
returned
Hare
to
Bol.
this, thank you, Mataji, Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hari
So
Bol.
this is very interesting, isn't it? This Paundaka, he's got so much of audacity that he himself dresses like Krishna, and he is like the master of all the Kali Yuga avatars, right? The present day Kali Yuga avatars, at least they don't go and tell directly in front of Krishna that I am the Supreme Lord. What they do, they just sit on the roadsides or somewhere and then make some magic powders, some coins. They give everybody the magic powder and coins, and then when they ask him how you're able to produce these coins, then they say that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You worship me, I will give you everything, whatever you like. I will cure you of your diseases, etc. Right? These people are at least okay. Why? Because they are just telling what they are doing something, and they are creating some magic, some powder or something at least, and at least they are telling they are trying to fool innocent people. The height of it is when you go to the Lord only and try to fool the Lord. That is the greatest foolishness, isn't it? Kauntraka, he dresses himself like Krishna with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, Kaustuba, Gem, Shrivans and all. And he's going in front of Krishna and he's saying, you give up everything, I am only Vasudeva. And Prabhupada very beautifully writes here, Krishna could not contain his laughter, right? If somebody says that I am only you and you give up everything, it is so much fun, isn't it? So Krishna was laughing so much. And maybe he gave a little bit of pleasure to Lord Krishna because he made Krishna laugh so much. Right? But Rake Krishna, Mare Krishna, Rake Ke. Right? Prabhupada says, if you want to become God, then God will cover himself with the Yoga Maya, that you cannot understand God. But if you want to serve Lord, then the Lord will reveal himself to you. So we need to understand, if you're not able to understand who Krishna is, even after so much of study of the Vedic scriptures, literatures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, etc., we need to think, is my intention to serve Krishna or is my intention is to compete with Krishna? That I also want to become God. Right? Prabhupada says, that is the last snare of Maya. That we want to do all these ritualistic activities of studying Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, perform deity worship and everything. And then finally, what do we want to do? We want to become God. Right? We want to get out of our illusion and we think that if we get out of our illusion, we can become God. And that is so foolish. Right? And Prabhupada says, in the Krishna book only, in the initial chapters, Prabhupada says, how Krishna, when he was born as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, right? He was already showing his four-armed form, right? In the lap of Devaki, and Mother Devaki told Krishna, please come back as an ordinary human form with the 2 hands and 2 legs. Why? Because when Kamsa comes and sees you in this form, he will understand that you are Krishna. Right? Of course, and then Krishna assumes a 2-handed form, and then he asks, Vasudeva to take him to Gokul, right? So like that, Vasudeva takes him to Gokul, and all that happens. But Krishna is Krishna at all times, whether he is a newly born baby, right? He was not born with crying. Right? In this material world, if a child is born and the child does not cry, then the doctor says something is wrong with the child. They pinch the child to make the child cry. Right? If the child does not cry, the child has to be in the incubator for so many months or whatever. Right? So, but Krishna did not appear like a normal child. Krishna appeared in the 4-handed form, and when he transferred himself into the 2-handed form, and Prabhupada says that the Lord is a Lord at all times. He killed Putana, or he liberated Putana. He killed so many demons, right? And all of that Krishna did. How? Krishna did not use any severe big weapons. Right? Krishna was a small baby and he did not even change his form. Right? That whirlwind demon. Krishna allowed himself to be carried, and then when he went up, Krishna just made himself, right? In that small form as Krishna only, he defeated that particular demon. Like in that way, Krishna Krishna did not show his powers by showing his muscle and all that. Right? Krishna is still very handsome. Krishna is still Nava Yauvanam, that the mature youth. Right? Krishna is eternally 16, 17 years old. Like that. So he was same, even when he was in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when he was fighting, you're riding the chariot for Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna was the same sweet, handsome, young youth, right? As he was in his 17 years old. He was like that only when he was 85 years old, when he was 125 years old. He was the same youth with all the strength, wealth, knowledge, fame, renunciation, and beauty. Right? And that is the difference between Krishna and us. Right? We are put into the womb of a mother because of our past desires and karma. And we are in this world, we are crying our heart out, and that's what we do throughout our life. Right? Sometimes we are not crying, but all the time we are crying, right? Because of the miseries of this material world. Right? And then yet we are so foolish. We want to claim ourselves to be God. Right? I am in this pitiable situation, but if I do yoga, Ashtanga yoga, meditation, everything, then I can become God. And that is the last snare. That is the last snare of Maya. That's what Prabhupada says. So we should develop our consciousness by hearing from people only who are coming in the bona fide Guru Parampara to understand that I am the servant of Krishna. It is my duty to serve Krishna. Jivera Swarupe Krishna and Nitya Das. Then we will be eternally supported by Krishna and all of the acharyas coming in the bona fide Guru Parampara to enable us to understand Krishna. Otherwise, we may be reading scriptures, we may be doing all practical devotional service, but if we don't have our foundation strong, then one day the building of our so-called practice. What is that practice? I don't know. Right? If a building has got 25 stories, but then the foundation is not strong, then it is just a matter of time when the building will collapse. And the higher the building, the greater the fall, the greater the damage it can cause. Right? Not only the building is damaged, but also causes damage to the surrounding areas also. So similarly, if you are not firmly rooted in bhakti with the right understanding that I am the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then however much we may do bhakti or so-called bhakti by study of the scriptures, by chanting, by engaging in deity worship, etc., etc., it's still like a building that is growing, or that is a high-rise building, but without proper foundation, anytime, any day, that building may fall down. And greater the fall, the greater the damage, the greater the time for us to recuperate ourselves to come back to bhakti. Right? So that is why in spiritual life, it is best to be dasa, anudasa, 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 anudasa. Gopi Bhartu Patakamalayur, dasa, 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 anudasa, 7 times. So we are adequately protected by the devotees, and even if we fall down, we are falling in the arms of the devotees, who will carefully carry us and let us, and do not allow us to drift away from bhakti. Right? That can only be done in the association of devotees under the guidance of a bona fide guru. It cannot happen by our own individual endeavor of studying Bhagavad Gita or whatever we may do on our own independently. That is not going to help us sustain. In the long run, we have to practice bhakti for the entire life. And then once we perfect our life and go back to Godhead, also we have to be in the association of pure devotees of the Lord and render service to the Lord. So this material world is giving us a trailer of how we can practice bhakti in spite of anything, and then we go back to Godhead and practice our bhakti. So that is the goal of life, and that is the purpose of the human form of life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So tomorrow is Thursday. No, tomorrow is Friday. So we'll continue and complete this chapter tomorrow, and then we'll see if we can take the next chapter, the 90 chapters. So we'll complete this Krishna book for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. Devotees can switch on your cameras. We'll see who are all there today. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunnavadi Paschatyarishotarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vatsari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Gaura Nitai Jai Jagannath Jai Baladev Jai Subhadra Jai Sudarshan Bala Gopal Jaya Rukmini Vitthal Jai Prahlad Narsinga Jaya Lakshmi Narsinga Jai Chadurabhuja Shaligna Sila Jai Kripa Shaligna Sila Gopal Ji Shaligna Sila Kurmaji Shaligna Sila Lakshmi Narsinga Shaligna Sila Prabhupada Jai Guru Devani Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki Jai Kali Gavadita Bhavna Harinam Sankirtana Mahayagna ki Jai Kali Gavadita Bhavna Hare Krishna Mahamantra Japa Yajna ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Shobha Mataji, Sridhar Prabhu, Rajeshwari, Rajiv Mataji, Harjeet Mataji, and our dear Namesh Prabhu, our dear Pranab Prabhu. Pranab Prabhu now has started joining even without his mother. Jai, Pranab Prabhu ki Jai. Leelanandini Mataji, Sarvagopishri Mataji, Rajneesh Prabhu, Karpagalli Mataji, Nagavani Mataji, Deval Mataji. Thank you very much for joining in. My sincere gratitude to all of you for joining in every day. And in this way, by studying Krishna book every day, by studying Srimad Bhagavatam every day, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra together every day, we will develop this desire to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. We will bring to life the eternal blessing that we get from our Guru Maharaj. Krishna Mati Rastu. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. We are always engaging in devotional service, always engaging in the ABCD square formula given by Prabhupada. In this way, let us serve, satisfy, and please our gurus, and let's please Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, devotees. Meet you all tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock for our Brahma Muhurta chanting session, and then we will meet at 1 p.m. as we continue and complete this chapter.